Alright, today I'm going to show you how to mix a vocal from start to finish in just 10 minutes. I'm going to be covering things like EQ, compression, reverb, delay, and all the other things you need to know about how to mix a vocal. If you pay attention all the way till the end, you'll take your vocals from muddy and raw to crispy and popping right out of the mix. Firstly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Noah Policki. This channel is about educating new music artists on how to get started in their journey. I do this through talking about mistakes that I've made in the past and what's worked for me. One last thing before we get into the video, I will be giving away a free copy of my latest vocal preset, and all you need to do is just enter your email in the link below to enter the giveaway. This is what your starting vocal probably sounds like. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. And this is what it's gonna sound like by the end of this video. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. One thing to mention is, like any other mixing tutorial or anything like that, you don't want to copy my exact settings from this video. It's more about the process of why we're doing certain things that you need to pay attention and learn from. That way you can apply it to your own mix. Alright, step one is to EQ bad frequencies out of your vocal. Almost always on a vocal, the very first thing you want to do is add a high pass filter and cut out up to around 100 hertz-ish, like in this range. The reason for this is the human ear hardly can hear any of these frequencies down here, and so there's no reason to have them there. They don't really add much to the vocal at all. So I'm gonna sit here and move this back and forth, and I bet you won't even hear a difference. Love, I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here. Yeah, you can't even hear that. So I'm just gonna bring it around to here. If you can start hearing the effect of this, that means it's too much. Love, I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. A lot of budget mics have a lot of problems down in the low, mid, and mid-range frequencies, so we're going to do something called frequency sweeping, and it's basically just listening for any bad frequencies and removing them. Love, I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. Stay sober. So that just sounds really like boxy and like weird, so I'm going to take that out. Acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. And then same for that. It's just kind of like, can't explain it, just boxy, okay? So we're going to take that frequency out. So to clarify and the boxiness I'm meaning, I'm just listening for frequencies that make the mic sound muffled, I guess you could say. This is something you really have to train your ear on just through doing it enough times. Now the main thing to think about for the first EQ, when you're mixing, you can't think of it as individual steps, but one whole combined process. What do I mean by this? Well, first, we're starting out with an EQ, right? But you got to think the next step is for us to compress the vocal. So I don't want to boost any bad frequencies and then compress it, because that would just bring the bad frequencies out even more. So the point of the first EQ is to clean up the vocal before compression and only compress the parts of the vocal that I want, which that leads us into step number 2, which is compression. We're going to do something called serial compression, which is taking two compressors and using them to work together, which creates a more controlled and natural sound. So for the first compressor, we want the attack all the way down, and we're going to do the ratio probably around like 2 or 3. Right over here, this shows you how much you're attenuating or how much you're reducing. What we're trying to do is just take the very loudest parts of the vocal and dip it down. So we really only want to attenuate for like 1 to 2 decibels, 3 at the max. Love, I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. Stay sober, but lately it's been... Alright, so see how for the most part, it's only reducing by 1 to 2 decibels. A few times it does go down here. I'm not too worried about that. You really can't hear that big of a difference, but it does help. The second compressor that we add is typically referred to as a glue compressor, and this just kind of overall balance the volume of the entire vocal to help it sit in the right volume level. This results in a controlled but still natural sounding vocal. For this second compressor, we're going to play around with the threshold until we can audibly hear it, the vocal being compressed. We're also going to use a somewhat slower attack, and then we're just going to play around with this. I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories, acting grown up, but it's just all make believe. Stay sober, but lately it's been tempting me. So now you can hear that the vocal got quieter. So to make up for this, we're going to increase the gain to get it back up to the proper volume level. I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Number 3 is a de-esser. This is not very complicated. It's basically taking the s S sounds of your vocal. The only thing to think about is don't overdo it or else you're going to make it sound like you have a lisp. But other than that, it's really not too hard. We're going to use Fruity Maximus. Click on presets, and then we are going to go to de-esser. Again, all you're looking to do is take away the harsh sibilant sounds like tss, tss, tss. I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time on this step.
Know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder.
Alright, that sounds pretty good to me. Number 4 is another EQ. A lot of people like to do analog EQ during this step, which just adds a lot of warmth to the vocal. Down below, I have linked Blindfold EQ, which is a free VST, and I really like using it for this step because it takes away the factors of like the visuals of the EQ and makes you rely on just your ears for the mix. Typically, you want to add some low-end warmth and some top-end air frequencies. Keep in mind that this second EQ is not very sharp cuts like we did in the first EQ. It's more of gentle, broad boosts. It's more for tonal balance rather than cleanup. So I'm gonna play around with probably this until it sounds good.
Know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memory.
So if I crank that, you can hear that it gets muddy. So we gotta dial that back.
I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe.
And then we're gonna boost these high frequencies.
I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder, got me always feeling weak. The kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder, got me always feeling weak. Yeah.
So you can hear that really helps enhance the presence of the vocal. Oh yeah, also one last thing, make sure this analog is selected. Step 5 is somewhat optional. It's not for every vocal, but if you're still noticing that the vocal is just a little thin, not really popping out of the mix, or maybe it's not very warm or something like that, you can use saturation. Basically, all saturation does is create a fuller sound. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it than that, but for simple terms, it just makes the vocal more full. You have to be very careful not to overdo the saturation or else your vocal will become distorted and even clip. So start with that at 0 and then just slowly boost it until you hear some fullness being added to the vocal.
Love, I know it's best for you, but man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder, got me always feeling weak. Yeah. If you want it, then you hold it close.
Yeah, you really don't have to add that much for this. Alright, step 6 is our creative effects, such as reverb and delay. You don't have to add these to every vocal, but most people do. All the previous steps are to get the vocal sitting in the right frequency range and the right volume, but sometimes they still sound just a little out of place, and reverb and delay and creative effects like that can really help it just blend in with the beat nicely. So let's take a look at an example of that. This is super simple in FL Studio. Simply click your lead vocal and then go to an open mixer slot and click it, and we're going to do that twice. And then we're going to rename one of these reverb and the other delay. Now, just a fair warning, if you were to hit play right now, it would blast your eardrums, so make sure just to pull these down. It basically duplicates the signal to these, so there's 3 vocals playing at once. Alright, so for the reverb, we're just going to use Fruity Reverb. That's all we're going to do. It's really important not to overdo your reverb. Alright, and we're going to dip down the dry a little bit.
But man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting.
And we're going to crank this so we can really hear it, and then we'll pull it back later.
But man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here.
Now, the main things to play with the reverb are just the decay, the size, maybe, and then like these knobs. Just kind of play around until you find something that seems to fit the beat and the overall mood. Alright, then we're going to start pulling that back.
But man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder.
Next is the delay, and we're going to add Fruity Delay 2. When adding delay, it's important to make sure that your project tempo is synced to your beat, or else it's going to be off beat. I'm going to set this to ping pong, which basically bounces the signal from your left ear to your right ear and adds a little bit of width to it.
But man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here.
Oh yeah, then turn the pan up. So that sounds good, and then we're just going to pull the volume down.
But man, it has been rough. I'm just a kid out here, missing all my memories. Acting grown up, but it's just all make-believe. Staying sober, but lately it's been tempting me. Weight up on my shoulder, got me always feeling weak. Yeah.
Notice how before the vocal was very muddy and muffled, and afterward it sounds so just clean, crisp, and just pops right out at you. Alright, before you go, just remember that if you would like to win a free vocal preset, all you have to do is put your email down in the link. And if you found this video helpful, I'd ask that you leave a like or subscribe, as it helps the channel out. See you later.